Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all well. I have taken a slight week's hiatus as I have got almost kind of suddenly, but not suddenly, really bad PGP, pelvic girdle pain. If you don't know what it is, look it up because I feel like I explained it really wrong, but basically it's like as your pelvis expands in later pregnancy, I think it's more the ligaments in it actually, they do so unevenly, and so like pressure and I'm trying not to say pain, but like extreme discomfort occurs, and I'm finding it really hard to walk, even to sit for ages. Like I'm on like a really soft big chair now with a cushion, but probably when I get up in maybe 20 minutes, however long I waffle on for, I will be stiff as a board, and like I can't really walk very far, I can't sit for very long. If I'm lying down, I have to be like propped up within an inch of my life. So yeah, and there's nothing major that can be done about it apart from kind of physio, but I mean, I don't really know. So first of all, if anybody is either experienced it previously or you have got pelvic girdle pain or any kind of hip issue, please let me know if anything worked for you, or more importantly, what happened at the end. What happened? The midwife has said in like one conversation they might induce me a week early, and I don't really know what else, and I'm just like, oh my god. Yeah, so if you have experienced PGP, please let me know how that went, anything you did for relief, how we all came out in the end, because I'd love to know. Anything that I've been doing has either been so ungraceful or so painfully slow, and like no one wants or needs to see this. But yeah, in more positive news, I wanted to do my kind of first trimester, and I was going to do a separate video for my second trimester, kind of experience, symptoms, what happened, what went down. But I feel like very much the major things that I experienced, I'm not going to say suffered with, but experienced, very much led on from the first trimester to the second trimester. So I feel like one video of the first and second is going to be a lot more interesting, engaging and informative than the first and then the second, and then when we finish the third trimester I'll do a whole other video about whatever else happens. But yeah, I am currently, this is baby number one, baby girl. I'm currently 32 weeks pregnant, like 32 in a day today. Baby is due early November 2024, depending on what year you're watching this. What else? I am 26, if that is relevant to you, and that's about it. I think those are kind of all the key points we need. Try and kind of condense what I experienced and then how I kind of coped or resolved it, instead of just going, and this hurt, and this was this, and this is the other, because I don't feel like that's very informative. I've got my laptop and I've like gone through my camera roll from literally when I started like testing, and I've been like, right, what happened here, and kind of just going to give a full-on lowdown of everything. If I move back and forth, it's because my hips are so sore, and I'm just trying to like renegotiate to to get some movement back in my body. But we are all fine. All I will say is, if you are like how I was in the first and second trimester and you have got really bad nausea or really bad sickness, I will be talking about both of those. So trigger warning, if hearing someone else talk about nausea makes your nausea worse, probably not the one for you. Either come back in a few weeks and you feel a bit better, or just be prepared that I'm going to talk about that. There is no footage or video of anything like that, don't worry, it's just going to be me talking. But if even hearing about it makes you feel really sick, yeah, skip forward. But there is no other trigger warnings as far as I can think. So here we go. So got pregnant in February. It was, when people say, well, were you trying, were you not, I feel like it's almost such an intrusive question, because it's like, well, we all know what you're asking, and the way I always answer it is, it's like, well, we knew what we were doing. Like that is the way I answer it, and you can interpret that however you want. So yeah, I knew nothing about ovulation, HCG, LH, DPO, days post ovulation. No, nothing, never heard of any of it, absolutely didn't know what any of it meant at all prior to them being literally in the 2-week wait, in the 2-week window, and being like, oh my god, what is all this stuff, and should I have tracked that? Have I kind of like wasted a month in a sense? But I watched probably like every video there is on YouTube about DPOs, early testing, everything, HCG levels. I mean, I don't think there is a video I have not watched that has been up since before February. Watched like Elle Swift's videos, Sarah's Day, because I remember like years ago when they've like got pregnant, watching them and being like, could you not just have a day and be like, oh, I think it's today that I'll test? No, it doesn't work like that, but I'm sure we all know that now we are here. So yeah, I watched like millions of videos, loads of like early testing videos, loads of lines showing up, all those sorts of things, like how early does the line show up after like ovulation. So I think I took Amazon HCG, you know, the pink ones, the little cheapy strip ones. I'm gonna trust that we all know what I'm talking about. These tests probably from like 7 DPO, and I knew it was so early, and I was like, why are you doing this? But I was just like, I just want to see. And then when obviously there was nothing 8 DPO, and then I think 9 DPO was a Saturday, and it was kind of like maybe like 1-2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was like, oh, I'll just take one. I mean, it's not like your first morning urine, but also I was like, well, it's further along in the day, so maybe something will come up. Anyway, there was the faintest like mark, which I was kind of like, am I seeing things? Am I not? So I saw it in the afternoon, and I was like, right, okay, is this a positive? I have no idea. And we actually we were going out. I think we were going out somewhere or doing something that evening, or even just like having people round. And so we went to Big Tesco's, which is a supermarket if you're not from the UK, in the afternoon. And I remember Jamie was like, oh, I'll get some beers, and he was like, oh, do you want a bottle of wine? And I was like, no. I was like, because you never know, like I might be pregnant, so like, oh well, we'll just see, because he knew that obviously like we were waiting to see if I was pregnant that month. So I was like, no, like I just won't. And in my head I'm like, not because I might be, I was like, because I think I am. And I remember walking around Tesco being like, oh my god, like, can people tell? Girl, no. Nobody could tell. Like, well, you just get so in your head, you just get like so obsessed. So that was the Saturday anyway. And then the Sunday morning I had to do some like mock exam. I had to do like some work in the morning, right? And so I was like, I have to do this. So I took one at like 7 a.m. and it was positive. And I did the first response, the pink one, the digital pink, and it comes up with like yes and a positive or no and a minus. And I was like, I think it's too early for this, but I was kind of so in my head. And it was even things like in the morning, Jay will make a coffee, and I was like, well, can I have a coffee? Like, oh my god, I don't know. So I was like, right, let me just take this digital one and we'll see. Anyway, lo and behold, it was a yes. But I was so like excited, but in my head I was like, I've got to keep my cool because I've got to do this work first of all this morning. Also, the autumnal mug, can we appreciate that? So I think it was like 3 hours where I did this work. So anyway, plan was going to be on this Sunday that I was going to do my work, and then when I'd finished, Jamie was going to go to the dump, take some stuff, and then I was going to set something up, even if it was just the test, for when he came back and show him. And I was like, right, okay, that'll be fine. I finished these tests, and one of my best friends texts me and says, oh, can we pop round for like a coffee for an hour? And I was like, yeah, that's fine. Because if I would have said no, she would have been like, well, I'm coming anyway, or well, we're around the corner, or why? So I was like, yeah, that's fine. And I thought, well, it's only an hour, it'll be fine. So this was literally 12 o'clock, she texted me this. They didn't leave until like 7:30 that night, which is absolutely fine. But the whole time I was literally sat in the lounge in here, just being like, oh my god, like nobody knows this but me. It was just like crazy. And there was one point where Jamie and like her fiance, like they like went in the other room and like shut the lounge door behind them, which was really weird. So it was just me and her like in the lounge, and I was so tempted just to go, I'm pregnant, but I didn't. I was like, no, you gotta hold it in. So anyway, they left, and then maybe it wasn't quite 7:30 because the tip wouldn't have been open at that time, but anyway, it was probably about 6ish, shall we say. So they left, and Jamie went out to take the rubbish. No, he didn't. I thought he was going to. No, it was 7:30 because I thought he was going to leave. They left, and I went upstairs just to like compose myself for a minute. And I was like, right, well, he's not going to leave, but how am I going to get him to like come upstairs or whatever? And I was like, oh, maybe he'll just come upstairs in a minute. So I have these little booties from when I was a baby. I don't even know why I have them, but I do. These little, funnily enough, pink booties from when I was a baby. And I had the test, so I just put them on a chair in the corner of our bedroom. And I was like, oh, he'll come up in a minute. Like, he'll go the loo, or he'll do something. He'll come upstairs, and I'll be like, look. So he was downstairs, and I was listening, and then I heard the of Netflix, and he turned the telly on, and I was like, he's not going to move now. So I texted him and I was like, oh, can you just come upstairs and help me lift something or get something down from the wardrobe or something? So he comes upstairs huffing, being like, oh, what do you need me to move? And I was like, and just pointed at the chair. And he was like, oh my God, you're pregnant. I was like, yeah, I'm pregnant. So we both then sat there and was just like, oh my God, like a bit of a, it's fine. Oh, it's fine. It's totally fine. Oh, it's totally fine. But yeah, so that is kind of how I found out I was pregnant. Now, in the weeks, this was like the Saturday, Sunday, this weekend, on the Thursday before, and probably like the Tuesday and the Thursday before. So the Tuesday before, I had been sat at my desk upstairs working from home, and I felt like my boobs had gotten like hard and like bigger. Like I'm usually like a flat-chested girl, and I was like, oh, I feel like I've actually got like a bit of a boob there. And they were like rock solid. And I actually have a picture that I took like down my top because I was like, my boobs do not usually look like that. So I'd taken that and I was like, oh well, it could just be, I don't know, could just be random. But because I'd never tracked like ovulation or when my periods were ever before, and I'd never been on the pill or off the pill, I didn't ever take note of what my body was doing. So I was like, maybe my boobs go hard every month, but I just have never realised before, like I didn't know. So I think that was the Tuesday, and then the Thursday I was in the office and really like midday, gone for a wee, and had like the tiniest little spot on the paper when I'd wiped. And I was like, okay. And I really didn't know if like that was a good thing, a bad thing. I was like, well, that's never happened before. So that was that. And then obviously that weekend I found out I was pregnant. So point being with that is, I think that was kind of probably a little bit late for like an implantation bleed. Maybe it was, but then I kind of learned about like implantation bleeding, and I was like, oh right, okay, I think that's what that is. So if you're like super early on and there's like a tiny little speck or a tiny little bit of blood, can be very normal, very regular, like just happens. Obviously, secret advice, I'm just saying, that is literally just what happened to me. So then, from then on, I need to get my list. Hang on. If the camera keeps going, I have a new tripod and I'm trying to work it. So if I kind of keep having to readjust, then that is why. But yeah, so I would say probably for the first like 6 weeks, so i.e. 2 weeks. So I found out, and then kind of 2.5 weeks after that, I absolutely fine. I was quite thirsty, like pretty thirsty constantly, could just chug anything, but didn't have masses of bloating, didn't feel sick yet, I was pretty normal, pretty fine. Then I think it was probably like maybe 6 or 7 weeks, the nausea started, and oh my God, there was literally points with the nausea where I was like, I can maybe, I don't know if I can have like another child, because I felt so utterly horrific. It's not just morning sickness, it's from the minute you wake up until the minute you actually fall asleep. You feel like you could vomit at any given point. It is unbelievable, and it's so hard to explain to people because everybody's been sick. Everyone's felt sick, everyone's felt like nauseous, but when it literally consumes your entire day, your entire body non-stop for like 2 months, you can't like explain it to people. It's crazy. It kind of started and I was like, oh, I don't know how, like I don't really know what to do with it. I did the ginger ale, I did the ginger biscuits, I did the crackers first thing in the morning, all of that, which are kind of like the traditional things to try and combat morning sickness. None of it worked. Absolutely none of it scraped the sides. Like I had wristbands with pressure points on them. I would have them on constantly. They would do nothing apart from leave massive indents on me. They did nothing. I bought these sour sweets, nothing. If you want to try any of this, like feel free, but I'm just saying those traditional things, like if one more person told me, oh, I just had a ginger biscuit, and I was like, fine. Like my mum was one of those people. I said to her, like, did you ever get morning sickness? And she was like, no, I was never sick. I have 2 brothers. And she was like, I was never sick with any of you. She was like, if I'd ever feel a little bit funny, she's like, oh, I'd just have a little biscuit and I'd be fine. And you know, and you're like, can't relate. I'm 2 packs down on biscuits and I still feel like I'm going to be sick. When I would actually be sick, so I wouldn't kind of be sick in the morning. I was only sick in the morning once, and that was after I'd eaten. I would be sick 1 or maybe 2 evenings a week. Weirdly, it was nearly always like a Thursday or a Wednesday, but I would like really be overcome with the nausea, really like be overcome with the exhaustion, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to go and sit down, and then you knew, and I would be sick, but it would be like 20 minutes, half an hour of just like vomit in the bathroom. I mean, like on my pajamas, then had to be stripped of my pajamas, on your face. We don't need to go into the detail of it, but it was just horrific. I would basically have these like really bad episodes once a week of the vomiting. I'd say I'd feel better after it. I wouldn't. I'd then have horrific stomach cramps backache, you know, the top of your back from the retching hurts, everything. I was just like, just put me in the bin. So then I'd kind of go to bed, and the next day I'd feel even worse, and blah 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 blah. So that was the way it would happen to me. I wouldn't wake up every morning and be like, vomit, okay, I'll crack on with the day. It was like this evening's episode. It was just awful. This probably went on, I'd say probably from like week 6 or 7 until probably week 15. So it was quite a while that this happened. The only things that actually really worked for me, Sprite, like fizzy, cold, and even now like fizzy cold drinks really made me feel better. It was the only thing that kind of like refreshed me. So kind of Sprite, lemonade, anything that was kind of like that would like really help. Cordial as well. I couldn't drink water, absolutely not. It just felt like I was drinking from a drain. I couldn't do it. So I'd have like just really weak cordial, because I was like, well, I don't want too much sugar and blah blah blah. So I'd have really weak cordial in a Stanley all day every day. A major thing was to genuinely eat every hour and a half. So like, for example, get up, maybe have whatever you'd have, cereal, porridge, whatever you eat. Say that was at 8 a.m. Genuinely, 9, half 9, be like, right, let me have a little, I don't know, if you could handle fruit, have some fruit or whatever, and then be like, right, okay, half 10, I'm gonna have maybe a little, I don't know, a yogurt, whatever it is, and then genuinely just eat. And when people would say, oh, have like a cracker, I'm like, what is there, like 30 calories in a cracker? Like it just doesn't touch the sides. And because I was so dry mouthed and thirsty, couldn't eat the bleeding cracker. So genuinely just eat, and don't worry about what you're eating in terms of, is it healthy, is it not healthy? As long as it's obviously pregnancy safe, like just don't worry about it. Don't try and be a martyr and be having your acai bowls and your poke bowls. Like just eat whatever it is. Sausage rolls, amazing. I did have so many ham sandwiches in my first trimester. However, I'm a bit unsure if you're allowed ham. I think ham's a bit of one of these like risky ones. I think in America it's like no ham, but I think in the UK you are allowed it, but I don't know, so I kind of stopped eating ham. But sausage rolls, pasties, ham, toast, and quavers. I don't know what it was, but the quavers, I could probably eat 3 or 4 packs a day, and they're like 83 calories, and they were just enough to kind of take the edge off the nausea, make me feel a little bit better, be able to kind of get me on to like my next meal or like the next hour. Because when you are feeling so ill, it's not like, oh, how am I going to get through this week? It's like, right, how am I going to get through like the next hour, especially like if you're working and all this sort of stuff. So quavers were like a godsend. Any form of crisps, like What's-Its. Originally it was salty stuff, but then I quickly went off the salty stuff. It was just a bit too yucky. But yeah, so if you're looking for a good snack thing, I would say quavers, What's-Its, ready salted crisps, Pom Bears, all those like kiddie crisps, your beige bland food is going to be amazing. And just honestly, like, eat it. Just don't worry about it. Just eat it, because if it is going to make you feel better, then it's going to make you feel better. And I remember saying to the midwife, I think at the 12-week appointment? No, because you didn't see the midwife. Maybe it was even the 8. Could have actually been the 8-week appointment, about the nausea. And she was like, it just happens. She's like, they only kind of, they won't really give you anything anti-sickness. They only will intervene if you can't hold any food or any water, then you're obviously going to be dehydrated. And they put you like on a drip and take you into hospital. But I was nowhere near that. Mine was just like, I feel awful. So yeah, it's hard because you know that the GP, the midwife, they're not going to do anything for you. You've just kind of got to find your own ways to cope with it. That is kind of how I dealt with it. Literally, just eat. Just have whatever it is that you can get down. Like I say, it kind of went at about 16 weeks. But even now, if I go, say if I don't have my tea before 6:30, 7, I will need something to eat, because it'll kind of creep back up a bit. It's a lot more manageable. Like now, I don't feel sick. I've had like a big breakfast, I'll have my lunch soon, like I'll be fine. But if I kind of don't have a consistent 3 meals a day, or like there's a long gap, it's not good. It's really not good. Yeah, that is like the main thing that I kind of suffered with. The main like symptom was the nausea. And then I think with that is the exhaustion. And that, I won't lie, he's still with me now at 32 weeks. I'm okay in the morning, and then it gets to about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and I'm like, I need to sleep or like seriously rest, like lie down and just not do anything. Even I'm usually somebody who, like, if I'm watching a film, I'll be on my phone at the same time. I can't even do that. It just has to be like this kind of complete zoned out, because the exhaustion massively takes over. And when I was feeling sick, the more tired I was, the more sick I was. So if you just like pace yourself, don't try and be a superhero, don't try and do everything and be like, oh well, I've seen this person and they could work out and they could do this, oh why can't I? Because that's how I felt, and I felt like I really wanted to be somebody who was like keep working out and keep walking and keep doing everything. I just can't, and I think that's absolutely fine. Like I just can't do it. I have to lie down, I have to sleep. So the exhaustion is very much still with me, but it's fine. It is what it is. I'm at the point now where if I need to sleep for 3 hours in the afternoon, then I'm gonna sleep for 3 hours in the afternoon, because it is doing nobody any favours. And I think especially with the PGP, you know, the midwife said to me last week, she was like, if you just feel like you can't move, don't move. Like, don't push yourself, because you're just gonna put yourself in more pain and be more exhausted, and nobody needs that. So those were like my big major symptoms. Other really random things that I kind of like had. I just found out I was pregnant until I don't even know how long, probably the middle of the second trimester. I would get this rash on my belly. It was like red, like spotty rash. There wasn't anything in the spots, it was just like an irritation thing, almost like an allergic reaction. Really random. Was all over my front, all over my chest, and I think it was the shower gel I was using. So I just got rid of that and just used like a Baby Johnson's shower gel, because I was like, there can't be anything in that that's going to make me react. But I think if there is something reacting on your skin or on your body, I think it's going to be obviously the change in your hormones with the products. I was using this product for ages, and then suddenly I got pregnant and it was like, no, that's not okay. We don't like that one. So I think just change it out and see if that will help. Hopefully it will, but I would say just like stop using it, because I was kind of really wanting to keep using it, because I was like, oh well, it's expensive and it smells nice and I got it to make myself feel better. But it was just awful. I just couldn't do it. The smells of things, products, perfumes, even deodorants, I was like, no, anything that had a strong scent to it, I couldn't cope with at all. I had a Mama Mayo deodorant, like the paste pregnancy deodorant. I used it initially, but now if I smell it, no, it takes me right back to like feeling sick. So I kind of think it's almost, you'll use things to kind of help your nausea or help you feel a bit better. But then actually once you stop feeling sick, if you smell it again, it takes you right back to feeling sick again. That was that. I didn't have any major like sweating, or I had a couple of kind of face spots and things, but nothing super horrific, which I was really worried about. I was really worried I was going to get pregnancy acne, but I haven't, thank God. Bloating was also pretty intense. I only felt like I kind of had some form of a belly at like probably like 18 weeks. I kind of felt like, oh, okay, I think this isn't just bloating and soreness. I think this is actually like a baby bump now. And even looking at some pictures, it's pictures I took and I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely a bump. And it absolutely is not. Well, it is from what I used to like look like, but it's so funny looking from then to now and being like, just you wait to see what you have to come. The other super random thing I've just seen, and I do still get this, is if I scratch my skin, even just like a little, like just super gentle little like scratch, it leaves like nail marks, like claw marks. And I think the other week I must have had a real itch, and I kind of scratched my belly, and I had like long putty nails then, and it like bruised. There was like 3 lines of like these little bruises of where I just scratched. It was crazy, and I was like, okay, well that's a bit worrying. And I was like, I kind of thought, well, are they stretch marks, because they were like little purpley, but when you looked close you could tell it was like a bruise, and they've gone now, so they obviously weren't. But it was just super strange. So really like sensitive skin is what I have kind of found. And then the other thing is from 12 weeks I've been taking aspirin because my mum had preeclampsia, and this is my first pregnancy, and so they were like, you need to take aspirin. Initially they gave me soluble aspirin, so like, you know, you mix it around with some water and I'd have to drink that. Absolutely horrific. When you are feeling nauseous, you're vomiting, and then you're being told to down soluble medicine, vile, absolutely awful. So I did whatever packs that was of them, and then I went to the midwife and I was like, look, I need tablets because I can't get this down. Like, I was dreading every day at like midday being like, I've got to take this, and like, it's just going to make me sick. It was absolutely awful. It's making me feel a bit sick now. But yes, then they gave me like hard-coated tablets, which were a lot better, and I take those before I go to bed. Take this before I go to bed, sit up, have quite a bit of water, let it all kind of go down, and then I'll go to sleep. They do give me such bad heartburn. I have heartburn all day, every day. I feel like the heartburn has just replaced the nausea. It's just non-stop. But I get Gaviscon, whatever it's actually called, prescribed. So I can actually get that through the doctor, which is really good because Gaviscon ain't cheap. It's like, I don't know, is it about, I think it's about £10 a bottle. And genuinely, the prescription was late the other day. And so I just had to get the normal little Gaviscon bottles. And I think it was gone in about like 4 days. If anybody says that's too much, just don't tell me, okay? I'll hit you with my Gaviscon bottle. But yeah, I think it was gone in like 4 days. And I was like, oh my God, I'd be spending so much money on Gaviscon if you couldn't get it on prescription. So that's actually really good that you can get that. That I think is generally kind of everything I've been feeling. There's nothing that can really help the heartburn. It just is what it is. I think obviously once I have the baby and don't have to take the aspirin anymore, well, I can stop the aspirin at 36 weeks. So I've only got 4 weeks left of that. And then I'm really hoping the heartburn eases up, because even if I try and take a deep breath or hunch forward or lean, it just like burns. And I'm like, how am I going to give birth if I'm in this type of pain? But yeah, I think that is generally kind of everything I have been feeling, dealing with. Like I say, there's nothing which has been major. We've had no scares or anything, touch wood, thank God. You know, there's been nothing where it was kind of like majorly disastrous. I can get like really lightheaded if I've just been sat down for too long, and now obviously I've got all this hip issue going on, which we'll see how that resolves. But generally it's just been the sickness. And I think my point is just, if you are in those absolute trenches, and I remember watching videos and people would be like, oh, it gets better, and I'd be like, shut up, like tell me how. But it genuinely does relieve, and you do just have to kind of find like little ways and little tricks yourself of how to feel better. My top tip would be quavers and lemonade and sausage rolls. That is how I combat the sickness. But yeah, if you are in any of your trimesters, please let me know how you are feeling. If anybody has any tips or stories, please don't be too negative for PGP. Please let me know in the comments, because I just don't know what to expect, and I need a plan. I'm always a woman that needs a plan, so I need to know what is going to happen. I hope you have enjoyed and found this slightly informative, if not interesting, because I just watched hundreds of hours of these. So if I've been on in the background, then I hope I've kept you company at least. But yeah, give the video a like, give me a subscribe. I'm gonna really try and think of some kind of videos where it's not gonna be me generally just waddling around everywhere. This past week I've got the majority of my hospital bag together. I mean, it's all just in a drawer, so I'm kind of gonna pack that this week, so that will be coming shortly. But yeah, I hope you have enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.